I love the Nintendo Switch. In fact, I did a video a few weeks ago going over canceled Nintendo Switch games. It was a fun video. But there was another thing that I started talking about with my editor Coleman that I don't really know how this got brought up, but we started talking about the Half-Life series and then Valve, and then I asked my editor Coleman if he remembered that rumored canceled Nintendo Switch project that was a Half-Life project that we got so many details for thanks to Valve News Network. And he was like, no, that never happened. I'm like, no, this definitely happened. And I had to do some extensive research. I found the video, it's unlisted. We're gonna put it in the description below, but there was a canceled Half-Life project that was made exclusively for the Nintendo Switch, and specifically with the Joy-Cons in mind. And I thought it'd be cool to do a video talking about that project because that's kind of a big deal. A Half-Life game for the Switch, Valve being on a console, you know how Valve has been with consoles in the past. It just seems like a really cool video, and I know we're gonna get a lot of people in here probably that have never seen the channel, but the reason why I'm doing this is because I want this channel to down the road, years later when we're on the next Nintendo console, to look back and be like, wow, the Switch had that in development? The Switch had all of this? What? Holy crap, the development of the Switch is crazy. Because the Switch has so many interesting things that down the road we'll get into. But today we're going to be talking about this Half-Life project that was called Half-Life Tactics for the Nintendo Switch. This video was made possible thanks to Valve News Network, and we're going to put his video in the description below. But we're also going to be going over a little bit of updated things about what has happened since this video has come out, because there's been interesting things with Nintendo and Valve since then that I think just makes it very interesting. Why this video was unlisted, I'm not sure, but I feel like since my editor didn't know about this game being for the Switch or that Nintendo and Valve even had conversations, I think it's important to do a video on it. So yeah, we're going to be talking about Half-Life Tactics today and what the game actually was, why it got canceled, the development, the conversation, all that good stuff. Make sure to go watch the original video. It's an unlisted video though. It's in the description. So back in October of 2016, Nintendo unveiled the Nintendo Switch, and they actually showed it off to Valve. From my understanding, their offices are actually very close to each other, at least Nintendo of America and Valve, so they actually had an in-person meeting, and Nintendo went to Valve unexpectedly to try to get software out there for the Nintendo Switch. Nintendo had a very bad history of third-party games. In fact, early development of the Switch, it was hard to get developers to be keen on developing for the Nintendo Switch due to the Wii U. If you guys don't remember, the Wii U was a massive failure. It was multiple reasons why the Wii U did not succeed, with one of the reasons being that the third-party support dropped very early. Third-party games were non-existent for the Wii U. And it seemed like in the early stages of the Switch, that's what was happening. A lot of third-party developers were scared to develop for the Switch because the history of Nintendo and its third-party developers, at least with the Wii U, a lot of people was concerned that the Switch might not actually be a commercial success. That's why you saw developers like EA barely put stuff out on the Switch, because EA thought for sure that the system was not going to do well. There was only two really true good developers that was actually thinking the Switch was going to be very good, commercial success. That was Ubisoft and Square Enix. I guess Bethesda, because Bethesda did put a lot of support out in the early Switch years. So Nintendo was trying to do everything possible to get developers on there, and I guess they reached out to Valve because Valve is something that, you know, you don't really see much in terms of consoles out there. You know, you had Left 4 Dead 2 on the 360, you had the Orange Box collection on the 360. Other than that, you know, you didn't see much Valve on consoles, and a lot of people love Valve. So I think what Nintendo was trying to do was trying to get something unique onto the Switch to get people to buy it for the third-party side of games, and then that was going to help get third-party developers onto the Switch. It's a good idea if you think about it, but it was going to be really hard to do because Valve doesn't really like gaming consoles, at least it comes across that way. Nintendo had the meeting with Valve, and Valve loved the Nintendo Switch. So they actually started working on a game for the Nintendo Switch. And what that game was Half-Life Tactics. This game started development, I believe, extremely late into 2016, and it was a multiple different type of games. This game was all over the place. It got switched to a turn-based game, a real-time game, to an RPG. It had multiple different games in mind. Valve, I don't think really knew what they wanted to do with this game. It was supposed to be a spin-off, obviously, but it seemed like Nintendo also had other ideas in mind with this Half-Life Tactics game. They heavily wanted to get some sort of teaser of Half-Life 3 into there, and it seems like they were actually kind of throwing the idea out there that Half-Life 3 could be a Switch console exclusive, which, could you imagine the outcry that would have been for that? There would have been so many people that was mad about that. I could not imagine how many people would be upset about that, because I just like, wow, the PC game that ends up being on Switch, like that would have been crazy. That would have been an interesting day to be on the internet, because there would have been so many people mad. Obviously Valve said no, but Nintendo wanted it, and I think Nintendo was actually trying to pay up for that, but yeah, no, it didn't happen. Valve was smart. I mean, Valve is gonna make Half-Life 3 at some point. When, we don't know, but it ain't gonna be on the Switch. The Half-Life Tactics game did not go through the prototype phase. That's as far as it went, didn't get past anything over than that, and actually, unfortunately, got canceled in early 2018. One of the many canceled Valve projects. What's interesting about this project, though, it seems like they were the only developer out there that was actually going to properly use the Switch to the absolute limits when it comes to the Joy-Cons. And I did a video on this like 2 years ago, how I talked about it's so annoying that the Joy-Cons are $80 and it has so much technology into it. The reason they're so expensive is because of that technology, and there is like only like 10 games out there that use the Joy-Cons. And the Joy-Cons still aren't even used that much in most of those games. Valve was most interested in the AR technology that the Joy-Con had, so I'm very interested to see what was going to happen with this Half-Life Tactics game in mind of the Joy-Con. I think it would have been something that would have been potentially good, but just kind of random at the same time, because Nintendo and Valve, that just seems so random. And I think that's why Nintendo really wanted it, because it was something they needed to get people to support the Switch, to be excited for the Switch. It's just, I think Valve wanted to do it too, but they just couldn't find something unique enough to make this possible. Because Half-Life Tactics went through so many phases that it didn't know what the game wanted to be. I believe there's multiple articles out there through Game Informer back in 2017 that talked about the Half-Life Tactics game. Just think that the only thing that wasn't mentioned in that is that it was a Switch exclusive game in mind. And we never got anything from Valve after that. They love the Nintendo Switch. I mean, it's obvious that Valve loved the Nintendo Switch because, I mean, the Steam Deck, I think, is inspired by the Nintendo Switch. They probably would have never made something like that if it wasn't for the Switch. However, we actually did get a game from Valve onto the Nintendo Switch a year ago. Very unexpectedly, we got the Portal collection. This was made specifically for the Switch, a new version of Portal. And obviously Portal was on the 360 and I think PlayStation 3. So this was just kind of random and unexpected. And I don't even think this Portal collection ended up on PlayStation or Xbox Series X or PlayStation 5, all that type of stuff. So they made something for the Switch in mind. Obviously, it was just a collection of games. It wasn't a brand new game, but it was still cool because it showed that Valve did actually like the Switch, that they wanted to do something with the Switch. I personally wish they would have just put Left 4 Dead 2 or the Half-Life games on the Switch. I know apparently there's like somehow you can play Half-Life 2 now onto Portal with a Switch game. I don't know. It's cool, but we haven't seen anything else come out of these games being on the Switch. It was truly one of those random things. And I don't know if Valve will do more stuff for the Switch, because this is the last thing that we've seen them do with console gaming in like years. I don't know how long it's been, but it has been years before this Portal collection coming to Switch happened. Unfortunately, that's all I have about this game for the Nintendo Switch. I want to know, did you guys know of this game's existence? Because I think it's just crazy and unique that Nintendo reached out to Valve and Valve was actually trying to make it happen. I think it's cool. I think it's cool. And I guess if it would have happened, they probably would have done something to tease Half-Life 3 for Nintendo to want a Half-Life 3 exclusively on their console. I just think that it's also pretty funny. This is one of the many canceled projects over at Valve, but it seemed like this was something that they were really trying to make happen. So it's just unique. I think this is unique, and I'm glad we have a video out here on it. And obviously, make sure to go watch the original video. I think Valve News Network actually talks more about what the game was supposed to be. I was just more interested in the fact that it was coming to Switch, made for the Switch, the history behind that, why Nintendo reached out to that. That's really why we did this video. So let me know what you guys are thinking in the comments down below. Make sure to backslash that subscribe button, like the video, check out the Twitter, check out the Instagram, check out the Discord server, check out everything that's in the description below. Leave your thoughts on this because I'm very interested. I will be reading every single comment on this because I think this is an interesting conversation. Nintendo and Valve. Like, imagine if that would have happened. That would have been crazy. I really want to know what your guys' thoughts are on that. See you guys in the next video.